August 14th, 2025, 2:15 a.m. The waters off the Oregon coast were cold, black, and deceptively calm. But beneath that stillness, war was coming. Iranian troops, elite naval infantry, were closing in silently, aboard 30 specialized amphibious assault ships. The night concealed them, the ocean embraced them, and Tehran believed it had engineered the perfect ghost invasion. Each ship carried the bones of an armored army, 4 main battle tanks, 2 armored personnel carriers, and a detachment of 17 hardened Marines trained for rapid landfall and urban conquest. Their objective? A quiet American fishing town. Population 3,800. Defenses, a single aging coastal radar. It was the weakest link in the American chain, and they meant to snap it wide open. Tehran's goal was as clear as it was bold. Seize the town, dig in, and establish a fortified beachhead on American soil. It was the most audacious assault on the U.S. homeland since Pearl Harbor. But Iran didn't know what waited in the dark. 65,000 feet above them, invisible to radar, a stealth UAV tracked their every move. Every 5 seconds, live telemetry pulsed to U.S. Naval Command. On land, coastal missile batteries sat ready, silent, cold, and lethal. Beneath the sea, a U.S. attack submarine held position like a steel predator, engines whispering through the depths. Overhead, 80 armed MQ-25 drones circled like silent birds of prey. The trap was already set. The only question was timing. Would the U.S. strike now? Or wait until the enemy stepped into the perfect kill zone? Stay with me, because what happened next will leave you breathless. At 2:15 a.m., the Iranian flotilla crossed the invisible threshold of American waters, 180 nautical miles west of Astoria, Oregon. There were no warnings, no political broadcasts, no televised threats. Just 30 steel vessels slicing through the North Pacific. In complete radio silence. Each ship had been custom modified for stealth. Their engines ran on low-frequency settings, masking their acoustic signature. They sailed in a scattered formation designed to mimic commercial cargo traffic, ghosts hiding in plain sight. But these were no merchants. Each vessel carried 4 main battle tanks, 55 tons of composite armored steel apiece, 2 armored personnel carriers, 17 elite naval infantrymen trained in close-quarters urban warfare, night vision, encrypted comms, and hundreds of pounds of ammunition on each man's back. 30 ships. That meant 120 tanks, 60 APCs, 500 elite troops, and over 6,000 tons of combat steel aimed directly at the United States. Their target was a quiet fishing town on the Oregon coast. No air defense, 1 outdated coastal radar station scanning 300 miles of ocean. A blind spot. Tehran had studied the gaps. It had planned for years. The town would fall in less than an hour. Once captured, Iran would fortify it, dig in, turn it into a launch pad for further incursions into the American mainland. On paper, it was perfect. The flotilla maintained total emission control. No active radar. No open comms. All systems encrypted with 256-bit military-grade coding. The captains huddled over assault timetables and landing charts, convinced they were ghosts drifting through the dark. They believed they were invisible. But high above them, in the stratosphere, a single American drone watched it all unfold. Every course correction, every heat plume from a tank's exhaust, every whisper of steel on deck. The trap was closing, and Iran didn't even know they were already inside it. At exactly 2:18 a.m., the drone, an RQ-180 stealth UAV, updated its feed. Position, heading, heat signatures, every 5 seconds. Real-time data streamed directly into the war room at Pearl Harbor. Rear Admiral Peter Sloan stood over the tactical display, arms folded, eyes unblinking. On the digital map, red markers moved steadily toward the Oregon coastline. He didn't speak. He didn't blink. He simply watched. Then he said 6 words. "Initiate Operation Black Tide. Hold fire." From that moment, a silent machine awakened. At the Naval Pacific Command Center in San Diego, encrypted alerts detonated across the chain of command. Hundreds of protocols activated, lights shifted from green to red, and the trap began to breathe. 80 MQ-25 Stingray drones, already circling at 40,000 feet, received target packages via AN/AAQ-40 electro-optical targeting systems. Each drone carried 2 GBU-53B small-diameter Bomb-2, precision-guided munitions with sub-meter accuracy and armor-penetrating warheads. The drones didn't move. They didn't need to. Below, the USS North Dakota, a Virginia-class attack submarine, adjusted its course. Silent running at 820 feet depth, speed 25 knots. It was already 12 miles off the Iranian fleet's stern. Armed with 38 Mach 48 Mod 7 heavyweight torpedoes and 12 Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles, it was the quietest killer on the water. On land, 2 coastal missile batteries came online. Hidden in reinforced silos along the Oregon cliffs, they primed 24 RGM-84 Harpoon Block 2 Plus anti-ship missiles. Each missile, 15 feet long, flying just 15 feet above the sea, could obliterate a warship in seconds. Inside the operations center, 14 digital screens tracked every heartbeat of the battlefield. Iran's fleet was cruising at 14 knots. They would enter the kill box in 27 minutes. The kill box, a lethal corridor, 22 nautical miles wide and 35 long, mapped by overlapping American firepower from sea, air, and land. A perfect ambush. The Iranians saw only empty ocean. They didn't know that the sky, the sea, and the very silence around them were watching, waiting. In the operations center, time moved differently. There was no shouting, no frantic orders. Only the low hum of machines, the soft clatter of keyboards, and the occasional click as a targeting lock confirmed. Commander Rachel Lynn, Combat Systems Officer, stood behind her console, her hands steady. Her screen showed the Iranian formation, red icons gliding silently toward shore. But her eyes were focused on something else. She was watching the kill chain tighten. Beside her, Lieutenant John Reeves, Radar Operations Officer, breathed slowly through his nose. His job wasn't glamorous. He wasn't launching missiles. He was watching the sky, tracking heat blooms, recalibrating AI overlays. Every update mattered. Every heartbeat on that screen meant one more second closer to impact. Behind them, Rear Admiral Sloan remained still. For 19 minutes, he hadn't said a word. The pressure was immense, the responsibility total. He knew one wrong command could expose the operation too early, or let the enemy slip through. But this wasn't guesswork. This was steel and silence. The American response had been designed for moments like this, layered, instant, and absolute. Each platform, UAV, submarine, missile battery, was part of a choreography rehearsed in silence, refined by time, and delivered with ruthless precision. And yet, for all its machine logic, the decision to strike still came from a human heart. Rear Admiral Sloan checked the timestamp, 2:41:58 a.m. 3 seconds to target entry, he whispered. Let them enter. No mercy, no delay. That was it. No speeches, no drama. Just a cold, final call from a commander who understood that silence wasn't hesitation. It was preparation. This wasn't a battle. It was a message. 02:42 AM. The Iranian fleet crossed into the kill box. 02:42:07. A burst of encrypted commands was sent to all 80 MQ-25 Stingray drones circling silently above. They responded in unison. Each drone, guided by AI-assisted targeting, locked onto its assigned vessel. With their AN/AAQ-40 systems engaged, they began releasing 160 GBU-53B small-diameter bomb-2 munitions. 2 bombs per drone, each carrying a 250-pound high-explosive warhead, with BLU-97 submunitions inside. 02:42:15. The bombs began to fall. Traveling at Mach 1.5, they descended in near-vertical trajectories. In 4.8 seconds, the lead 10 Iranian ships were engulfed. One vessel detonated in a fireball over 200 feet tall, its tanks cooking off in a cascading chain of explosions. Steel fragments, 24 tons of them, shredded the sea like shrapnel. Another ship's deck cracked open as its ammunition stores ignited. Armored vehicles were hurled into the ocean like toys. Chaos tore through the Iranian formation. Captains shouted orders. Ships veered wildly to avoid flaming wrecks. But that panic only made them easier to target. 02:42:45. The second drone wave struck. Another 160 bombs slammed into the rear and center of the convoy. Fuel tanks erupted. Engines tore free from hulls. Radar arrays melted like wax. By 02:43:02, just 47 seconds after the first strike, 14 Iranian ships were either sinking or ablaze. But the worst was yet to come. From 11.8 nautical miles behind the fleet, the USS North Dakota launched 4 heavyweight torpedoes. Mach 48 Mod 7, speed 55 knots, guided by active sonar, designed to detonate beneath a ship's keel. The structural death point. All 4 hit. Underwater shock waves surged past 500 psi, snapping steel in half like driftwood. Ships vanished in boiling foam within 90 seconds. Iranian communications descended into chaos. Encrypted channels meant for landfall coordination were now clogged with desperate mayday calls. Some captains tried to beach their ships on nearby sandbars. But they didn't get far. Drones, switching from bombs to AGM-114R Hellfire missiles, hunted stragglers. Each missile, 100 pounds, with a shaped charge warhead, was lethal against small boats and lifeboats. Within minutes, fleeing assault craft were reduced to floating debris. By 02:44:30, the once proud invasion force had been reduced to a graveyard of burning steel. And yet, the final blow had not yet fallen. 2:45 AM. The surviving Iranian vessels, barely a third of the original force, turned to flee. Engines screamed, wakes foamed. But it was too late. They were already inside range. 2 U.S. coastal missile batteries, camouflaged into Oregon's rocky cliffs, received the final command: fire all tubes. Within 6 seconds, 24 RGM-84 Harpoon Block 2 Plus missiles tore through the night sky. Each one 15 feet long, skimming the sea at Mach 0.85, flying under radar until the final climb. At 15 feet altitude, they screamed across the ocean's skin, like predators stalking in the shallows. The first wave hit 3 retreating ships simultaneously. One's forward magazine detonated. 20,000 rounds cooking off in a blinding flash that lit the sky. Another harpoon slammed into the engine room of a tank carrier, igniting 10,000 gallons of diesel into a rolling inferno. Flames stretched over 14 miles of ocean. But the strike wasn't over. From beneath the waves, USS North Dakota launched 2 final Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missiles, linked directly to the UAV network. The sub knew exactly where the last targets were hiding, using burning hulls and drifting debris for cover. The Tomahawks flew at 550 mph, barely 100 feet above water. Their 1,000-pound penetrating warheads tore through reinforced decks before detonating deep within the hulls. One ship split in half, the other capsized within minutes. Above, 20 remaining drones switched to seek and destroy. Lifeboats, rafts, small assault craft. The MQ-25s, now armed with Hellfires, finished them off without hesitation. By 02:48 a.m., the last trace of organized resistance was gone. The Iranian fleet had been erased. 26 ships destroyed at sea, 4 more crippled and sunk. 300 confirmed dead. 200 survivors pulled from the freezing water, all 120 tanks, all 60 APCs. Gone. The total duration of the battle, from first drone release to final missile impact, 5 minutes and 46 seconds. The kill ratio, absolute. 0 American casualties. The ocean fell silent again. But now, it was a different kind of silence. Not peace. Deterrence, forged in precision, discipline, and overwhelming firepower. You don't hit America and walk away. 3:10 a.m. The battle was over. The Pacific, once a corridor of invasion, was now a graveyard of twisted steel, scorched fuel, and drifting wreckage. The air smelled of diesel and cordite. The waters shimmered with oil slicks, stretching miles across. Above it all, the rising sun revealed the shattered remains of Iran's boldest military gamble in decades. U.S. Navy recovery teams, supported by MH-6DR Seahawk helicopters, swept the area. From the icy waters, they pulled 200 surviving Iranian Marines, many suffering from hypothermia, burns, and shrapnel wounds. They were dazed, defeated, and silent. On their encrypted tablets, seized from the wreckage, cyber teams found something chilling. Detailed plans for 2 more amphibious operations aimed at alternate stretches of American coastline. The Pentagon decrypted the data in under 36 hours. Those future invasions? Neutralized before they could even launch. 18 hours later, satellite imagery was released. It showed oil fires still burning offshore, dozens of debris trails, over 40 square miles of carnage. The message was clear. You bring war to our shores. You pay for it in full. In Tehran, chaos unfolded. Military officials scrambled to explain how an entire amphibious task force had been annihilated in under 6 minutes. 3 senior naval officers were confirmed killed. Others were taken prisoner, their knowledge now fueling counter-operations. Global military analysts called it the most decisive naval interception since the Falklands War. For Iran, it was more than a defeat. It was an exposure. Their encryption failed. Their formation failed. Their strategy failed. And the world watched. Across allied nations, military planners took notes. The kill box tactic, once shrouded in secrecy, had now been demonstrated with surgical clarity. Nations with similar ambitions, Russia, North Korea, even China, began reassessing coastal assault doctrines. Because what they had just witnessed was no coincidence. It was doctrine, instant, layered, absolute. And behind it all, beneath the satellites and drones, beyond the missiles and submarines, stood the American sailor, the analyst, the commander. Quiet, focused, uncompromising. Rear Admiral Sloan never once raised his voice. Commander Lin didn't flinch. The operators didn't hesitate. They executed. Steel met silence, and silence won. If you believe stories like this matter, if you believe America's strength must be remembered, respected, and recorded, then stand with us. Because when someone dares to touch American soil, This is what they receive in return. If you were the commander, would you have made the same call? Share your thoughts in the comments below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and never forget, history doesn't repeat, but it does remember.